Hello again. Let's explore the intricacies of Fire Trap Elementalist. Elementalist is an ascendancy you can equip with any elemental damage spell and make it work. Its efficiency with handling such skills and their correlative elemental ailments is apparent as you look at the ascendancy skill tree. For an Ignite build, it'd be hard to find a better alternative. Fire Trap seems like one of the best options for a fire spell. It explodes upon activating to deal hit damage which can ignite, and leaves burning ground shortly after, which is not an ignite, but will benefit from increases to burning damage nonetheless. It's great against stationary targets. Usually, spellcasters have to invest their cast speed, which may be why so few of them use traps, as throwing speed is a separate, hard-to-get statistic. On top of this obstacle, trap builds are limited by the number of traps that can be set up at one time. It's not an issue in the Ignite build as the multiple Ignites cannot stack. One enemy can be affected by one burning ground and one Ignite at a time, which will both last over 3 seconds with the right setups. It's bad at mapping, so for that, you'll use a separate ability. Fire Trap is used to inflict 2 layers of fire damage over time simultaneously, and it also has a very high effectiveness of added damage, making it excellent for an Ignite build, or any build that specializes in dealing burning damage. The second skill can be Flame Dash, Body Swap, of Frostblink. The build has average defenses, a respectable amount of armor from Determination, spell suppression chance which should reach 100%, block chance, Bastion of Elements from Primal Aegis, and quite a lot of maximum life. With high investment, it's very good. Clear speed is excellent, it requires some extra cooldown recovery rate of movement skills. Single target damage is extremely good for its price. It's a league starter build, so it's very affordable. You won't need any unique items, but some of them are extremely fitting for this build specifically. Such is the case with the Stampede boots that allow you to dash with higher frequency. Other than that, it's a pretty generic build that borrows a lot from a typical Righteous Fire archetype. Gem level and burning damage are the most important stats. Skin of the Lords is the best option if you value damage above all. Be sure to find a copy with the right colors and innocuous keystone. It's pretty expensive as of patch 3.21. The Brass Dome is the best option if you value survivability. The extra maximum elemental resistances and armor are great as you probably won't have a lot of them. There's not much on the Stampede boots, with the exception of the increased cooldown recovery for travel skills, which is great for this build in particular. Use Legacy of Fury to scorch your enemies so that they'll receive increased elemental damage, and explode on death. Immortal Flesh is a great option for a lot of maximum life and life regeneration, but you'll need to figure out some extra elemental resistances. Ashes of the Stars is a good pick for this build. It increases the gem level and quality of all skills and your reservation efficiency. You can use Barrack's Respite Ring for all the minor generic bonuses, and to spread Ignite on opponent's death so that you can save on one support gem socket in your mobility setup. Polaric Devastation, put it in your right ring slot to cover enemies in ash. It's great only if you don't use Infernal Cry already. Pyre is a ring with a lot of cold and fire resistances with burning damage that destroys enemies on kill, that has no maximum life modifiers whatsoever. Malevolence's modifiers on a Watcher's Eye are excellent. Get one for an extra dot multiplier or faster Ignite. It's an Ignite build, true, but keep in mind that half of your damage is not Ignite, but more broad fire damage over time, or burning damage. It's better to look for the more inclusive burning damage modifiers if possible. On your other gear pieces, get some strength, dexterity, maximum life, armor, and spell suppression. Increases to reservation efficiency shouldn't be needed unless you want to include an extra aura like Vitality. A regular helmet with just the most basic defenses will do the work, but there are a few exotic helmet mods that RF players tend to use that you can borrow to increase the damage of your second setup with the mobility skill. Getting a weapon that increases the level of Fire Trap by 1 is rather easy. On top of that, try to get as much burning damage as you can afford, or maybe even a mod to increase the key gem level once more. A shield can get you a lot of resistances, maximum life, spell suppression, and even maximum elemental resistances. You don't have to use it, but we recommend doing so. A well-balanced option for a chest piece is rare body armor, and it can be the most expensive one too. Try to get as much maximum life as possible, followed by resistances and spell suppression chance. Extra gem level can be found on Warlord or Shaper armors. Get rare boots with maximum life, movement speed, resistances, attributes, and spell suppression chance. Get a pair of basic gloves with modifiers to increase your defenses, or damage over time if you have the Apothecary gloves base. A rare belt with maximum life, strength, and resistances is what you should look for. An amulet with maximum life, resistances, attributes, damage over time multiplier, burning damage, and an extra level or 2 to fire trap is a good choice. You could get a regular ring with maximum life, resistances, and attributes. For more damage, you can seek modifiers like dot multiplier, or even flammability on hit. On jewels, try to get modifiers for an increased maximum life with some offensively oriented ones like burning damage. Any notable from a fire-oriented cluster jewel would be appreciable, but getting a good one is a luxury and there are more than enough good passives on a skill tree already. There's a distinct set of medium cluster jewels that increases burning damage with suitable notables on them. You may want to get such jewels in order to min-max the build. A set of magic utility flasks with 1 life flask for instant life recovery is what we recommend. Quicksilver flask for movement speed, quartz flask for phasing and spell suppression, granite flask for armor, and amethyst, silver, or basalt flask depending on your gear. These should increase your armor, evasion rating, movement speed, and grant immunity to bleeding or freeze from suffixes. Fire Trap Setup. It's a spell cast by proxy, an explosion that ignites and leaves a path of burning ground to deal an additional layer of fire damage over time. Link it with Empower, burning damage, trap and mine damage, efficacy, and swift affliction. You can replace some of them with cruelty or deadly ailments support gems if required. We recommend using the Divergent Flame Dash or Frostblink as the mobility skill, depending on your cooldown recovery for mobility skills. Much like a fire trap, it hits to ignite and leaves burning ground. Use it to move faster and to kill smaller enemies. You can replace it with Anomalous Body Swap too. Link it with Ignite Proliferation, burning damage, and cold to fire if using Frostblink, otherwise, Empower support gems. After receiving a hit from a wave of conviction, the enemy is exposed to fire damage, reducing their fire resistance. Link it with Combustion, which lowers fire resistance further. The Flammability Curse reduces fire resistance as well. Implemented in this setup by linking it all with Hextouch support gem. Use Malevolence for more damage with ailments, dot, and skill effect duration. Determination grants additional armor and increases it to mitigate physical damage. Skitterbots chill, shock, and grant more trap damage. Link all these 3 with Enlightened support as it increases the mana reservation efficiency. You probably won't need it at all, but it allows you to fit more auras like Grace, Vitality, or Clarity. Cast when damage taken will activate linked spells upon taking a certain amount of damage. Here we've used Steelskin to mitigate incoming hit damage, but if you have a lot of armor you may want to replace it with a Molten Shell. Another spell is a Flame or Chaos Golem. Flame Golem increases your damage, Chaos Golem mitigates physical damage taken. Use low-level Precision for increased crit chance. You should strike critically at least once every 8 seconds to activate Elemental Overload. Arrogant Support makes linked aura reserve life instead of mana. Do so that you may allocate Reservation Mastery for extra maximum elemental resistances. Infernal Cry covers enemies in ash so that they take increased fire damage. Enemies affected by this warcry explode on death. Kill all the bandits in Act 2 for the extra passive skill points, their offers are bad. The 2 Pantheon choices are focused on mitigating damage over time as you can't exactly leech, and having high life regeneration is important. Soul of Arakali will mitigate damage over time, especially chaos damage if your resistance to this type of damage is uncapped. Abarath is used to reduce ignite duration on you by 60% and make burning ground speed you up instead of dealing damage after an upgrade. On the passive skill tree, seek more fire damage, burning damage, dot, and trap damage. For defenses, simply look for maximum life nodes. Tolerance notable is nearby, so you might as well pick it up. Elemental Overload is the only important keystone. For masteries, pick Life 1 for more maximum life, Fire Masteries for extra 5% exposure and life regeneration per uncapped fire resistance, Mastery for multiplier if killed recently, and Reservation Masteries for increased damage per aura and maximum elemental resistances. If you need more reservation efficiency, pick a nearby mana cluster with its mastery for reservation efficiency. That is all you need to know. We encourage liking the video and subscribing to the channel. See you soon.